Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be smoking and reviewing the Backwoods Smooth Cigar, which is one of the newest additions to Backwoods' lineup, having been introduced in September of 2023 alongside a couple other varieties as well. All of the new varieties of Backwoods were introduced specifically to circumvent California's flavor ban on cigars, along with the possible upcoming federal ban on flavored cigars as well. Now, Backwoods as a brand has been around since the early 1980s, and today I would have to say that Backwoods is bigger, more popular, and better than ever before. And so as such, it's not super uncommon for Backwoods to introduce new varieties every so often. However, for Backwoods to introduce multiple varieties in 1 year, let alone 1 month, is completely unprecedented. And I think it says a lot about Backwoods' faith in the future of flavored cigars in the United States. But that's just my personal take on the situation. Now, all of the new cigars that were introduced in September of 2023 are indeed flavor ban compliant cigars. And while one may think that they're just going to be completely unflavored, I actually think that they're all actually flavored, as that's been my experience previously with all of the other flavor ban compliant Backwoods that I've tried before. And I certainly do think that this one is going to be flavored as well. However, I'm not thinking the flavoring is going to be like that of a honey berry or Russian cream Backwoods. I'm thinking the flavor from this cigar right here is going to be very watered down, if I had to guess, which really is a shame, but I do suppose having a cigar that is flavor ban compliant and still flavored is a little bit of a more difficult thing to do than not, so I really cannot complain too much, that is for sure. Before I go ahead and move on to my expectations, I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to Kirk for being nice enough to give me this cigar to make a review on. I really do appreciate it. The new flavor ban compliant Backwoods cigars are not available in my local area yet, and so as such, I certainly am very thankful to Kirk for giving me the opportunity to make a video on this cigar right here. Big shout out to Kirk. Thank you so much, my man. I really do appreciate it. But what are my expectations for the Backwoods Smooth Cigar? Well, quality-wise, I'm expecting the quality to either be really good or really bad with really nothing in between. I'm hoping humidification-wise, this cigar is all right, but single packs of Backwoods tend not to be the greatest humidification-wise, but this is a pretty new Backwoods and hopefully was put in the pack pretty recently, so I'm hoping that the humidification is going to be perfectly fine from this cigar right here, but I do suppose I won't know till I actually get it all out. But if I had to guess, I'm thinking the humidification is going to be perfectly fine. I'm thinking taste-wise, the taste I'm probably going to get from this cigar is going to be a sort of watered-down, almost candy-like sort of, I'm thinking sort of smooth, velvety, creamy, milk or dark chocolate-like taste. That's the taste I'm thinking I'm going to get from this cigar right here. Of course, very watered down though, if I had to guess, and I'm expecting a lot of the taste to really come through like it's not coming from the tobacco itself, like it's coming from some sort of external flavoring in the tobacco. But that's very much what I'm expecting taste-wise from this cigar right here. I'm thinking airflow-wise, the airflow is probably going to be, if I had to guess, quite constricted, as I am expecting this cigar to be quite tightly packed. I am also expecting, due to that, the draw to be, if I had to guess at least, quite heavy due to the constricted airflow. And due to the airflow, once again, I am expecting the body to be quite small. All of those are pretty common things when it comes to Backwoods, and once again, due to the airflow, along with also the small body, I am expecting this cigar right here to be pretty smooth, especially when it comes to cigars or cigarellos, that is for sure. And I'd have to say, yeah, I'm expecting it to be pretty smooth, but strength-wise, I am expecting it to hit a little bit harder than not. But I'm not expecting it to be like the strongest cigar in the world by any means, but I am still expecting it to give me a very nice nicotine buzz, that is for sure. And those are pretty much to the fullest extent my expectations for this cigar right here, the Backwoods Smooth Cigar, which was released back in September of 2023, alongside a bunch of other varieties and everything like that kind of thing. Now that I've covered everything I wanted to say for the intro, I do suppose now it is time for me to go ahead and start going over the packaging of, well, this cigar right here. After I go over the packaging, I'm going to go ahead and get the pack all opened up. I'm going to go ahead and get the Backwoods Smooth Cigar all out. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what the cigar actually looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, what the quality is like, everything like that kind of thing. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get this cigar right here all lit up, and I'm going to go ahead and actually let you guys know what I think of it and everything like that. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on the cigar. I'm going to go ahead and give it a rating, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. But first off, as said, we got to go over the packaging, which in my personal opinion is, I just accidentally moved my tripod just a little bit. It is what it is kind of thing, but the packaging as said. In my personal opinion, the packaging looks pretty decent. The look as a whole is pretty similar to the vast majority of other Backwoods cigars out there, and there's a lot of traits to this packaging that other Backwoods cigars share. This is definitely by no means super different than other Backwoods cigars, and the brand continuity is pretty good as a whole, and the background on this specific Backwoods cigar is very, very, very similar to the entirety of the new Backwoods flavor ban compliant lineup. They all have a sort of wood fence texture, I definitely have to say, as the background. They all have different colors as the background, but they all have a sort of wood fence texture, I definitely have to say, and this cigar right here has that exact same texture. So not only is this very recognizable as a normal Backwoods cigar kind of thing, but it's also very recognizable as being a flavor ban Backwoods cigar as well. And as a whole, the brand continuity is pretty good with this cigar, and as a whole, I'm getting words all jumbled up. The line continuity, because the flavor ban cigars that were introduced, they're like a new line of Backwoods. So it's not only that the brand continuity with this cigar is really good, it's also that the whole line continuity as a whole with this new line of Backwoods cigars is very, very, very good as well. So I certainly cannot complain about that. From a distance, how distinct is this cigar? I do feel like it's more, I'm trying to figure out the right way to hold it. From a distance, I'd have to say this cigar is definitely more distinct than not. The purple sort of background is not something you see on too many Backwoods cigars, I will admit. Or I do suppose there are some Backwoods cigars that do use a purple background, like the cognac and the honey berry and everything like that kind of thing. But it's not really like a super dark purple background like this one, except for the cognac Backwoods, I do suppose. But that still has a different look than this one right here. So I'd have to say that this cigar is very distinct as a distance, not only as a Backwoods itself, but also as this specific variety. And while it might not be like super distinct from a distance as this specific variety, while you do know, I'm getting my words all jumbled up once again, if you know what you're looking for from a distance, you're going to be able to very easily recognize this. Let me just put it that way kind of thing. But from a distance, if you don't know what this is, it's not going to be super recognizable as one thing or another thing kind of thing. You might not realize what this is immediately from a distance. Let me just put it that way kind of thing. There we go. I said everything I wanted to say properly. As a whole, I am a bigger fan of this packaging than not. While I don't feel like it's like the best Backwoods packaging I've ever seen, I do still think it's better than the vast majority of cigarello packaging out there. I do think it's much better than the vast majority of like gas station cigar and gas station cigarello packaging out there and everything like that kind of thing. So I certainly cannot complain, that is for sure. But without further ado, let's go ahead and actually start covering the details of the packaging itself. We can see the background of the packaging is very much I'd have to say, sort of woody, Yeah, it's sort of like a wood fence texture, I definitely have to say, all with a purple color tone to it, I definitely have to say as well. Definitely a sort of wood fence texture, and we can see like the, what's the right way of putting it? we could see the sort of like stakes in the fence, or like boards in the fence, I guess is the right way of putting it. We could see like the boards in the fence, kind of those lines stretching up right there kind of thing, where we've got some separation between the boards and everything like that kind of thing. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. And that woody texture as a whole looks pretty good in my personal opinion. The purple color as a whole is quite dark, but looks pretty good as well in my personal opinion. I do think that the dark background of the packaging really does just make the Backwoods logo right here and this right here and this right here just pop all the more, so I really cannot complain, that is for sure. Now that I've covered the background, though, let's go ahead and just cover all of the details on the front of the packaging. Not that there's really too much going on. It's pretty much just a very basic Backwoods look. We can just see the Backwoods logo itself at the very top of the packaging right here, and it's the Backwoods logo itself is all in red on a white background with a black border going all the way around that. Pretty basic Backwoods logo. Really nothing interesting going on, I'll be honest. We just a little bit of copyright symbol right there. Then moving on below that, we could see the like full-size Backwoods cigar right here. This is an actual real size Backwoods cigar. That's the size of the cigar you're supposed to get in the pack and everything like that kind of thing. So it is accurate 1-to-1 scale, that is for sure. But we could just see the cigar right here looking pretty scrumptious, if I do say so myself. Very much looks like a normal Backwoods cigar. Not super pretty by any means or anything like that kind of thing. But I mean, like, that's not what Backwoods are meant to be, as it says on the back of the packaging, which I'm going to be getting to in just a minute. But we could just see the normal sort of Backwoods cigar, just sort of photorealistic design stretching diagonally across the packaging right here, and that does have a little bit of a shadow to it. Does it have a little bit of a drop shadow? Maybe a tiny bit of drop shadow, but really not much. And in all honesty, it is a little bit hard to tell, but it does have a little bit of a shadow to it on this side kind of thing, which is pretty nice if I do say so myself. Going overlaid across the actual Backwoods cigar photorealistic design right here, we can see there's a little bit of a sticker looking design right here, which isn't actually a sticker. It's actually part of the packaging and everything like that, but we can see that is all on a yellow background with a bunch of like spiky corners and everything like that kind of thing. And that yellow background has a bunch of, I'd have to say, it has a bunch of spikes, but going around those bunch of spikes, there is a purple border going all the way around it, a sort of dark purple border, I definitely have to say. And on the yellow background, we can see in black, it just says 1 right there. Then in red, it just says smooth right there. And then in black, once again, under the smooth text, it just says cigar right there. Looks pretty good as a whole. That's just what's letting you know what this variety actually is and everything like that kind of thing. And then at the very bottom of the design itself, we could just see it just says all natural leaf wrapper right there, all in red on a white background with a, I'd have to say purple, not black, with a purple border going all the way around that. Certainly no complaints on my behalf, that is for sure. And this Backwoods logo right here, and this little area right here, and this little area right here definitely does have a little bit of a different texture to it when compared to the rest of the packaging. The packaging as a whole has very much, I'd have to say, a sort of very nice, smooth, matte texture, whereas this is more of a smooth gloss texture, I definitely have to say. Definitely a slightly different texture, that is for sure. As a whole, the packaging is pretty basic, especially when it comes to a Backwoods piece of packaging, but it's by no means bad packaging in my personal opinion, and it definitely is much better than not, especially when compared to gas station cigars that are not Backwoods. But as far as Backwoods packaging goes, this is definitely not the best, but it's by no means bad packaging, and it is still, in my personal opinion, above average as a whole. But moving on to the warning label below the design and everything like that kind of thing, we could just see it's on a white background with a bunch of black text and everything like that. We could just see it just says Surgeon General warning, cigars are not a safe alternative to cigarettes. I do suppose that is true, you know what I'm saying, but that's pretty much all there is to the front of the packaging. Not a bad look in my personal opinion. Without further ado, I had to burp. Without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the back of the packaging now. You can just see, once again, pretty much the exact same background, I definitely have to say. Very much that sort of wood fence look, sort of like wood textured fence look and everything like that kind of thing. Once again, certainly no complaints on my behalf. And once again, we see the sort of very dark purple background as well, with that, of course, sort of wood fence-like texture. At the top of the packaging, we can just see the Backwoods logo right there. Then below that, we can see Backwoods' market segmentation spiel, all on a very, very, very pure, dark purple background that does not take part in that sort of woody texture, I definitely have to say. We could just see all of the text on that is all in white, and it just reads, Backwoods doesn't make pretty cigars. Instead, we make the best cigars we can. We start with aged broadleaf wrappers for rich, natural flavor and a dark Maduro color. Then we wrap them around carefully selected tobacco leaves known for their known for their mellow aroma and gentle taste. We don't use paper wrappers, so our cigars may look a little rough around the edges, but they smoke true just the way you want them to. Because appearances don't matter, the cigar does. And that's just Backwoods' basic sort of market segmentation spiel kind of thing. Backwoods being a sort of rough and tough cigar has been something they've been marketing since the very beginning. And Backwoods were originally marketed as being a rough and tough cigar for rough and tough manly men kind of thing. They were really going for the whole sort of Marlboro Man sort of advertising, and they're still going for that to an extent today, even though they're really not marketed as much as being actual cigars these days, but more so as being a wrapper for other stuff to be put into. But that's pretty much all there is to the market segmentation spiel. Moving on below that, we go back to the sort of woody background and everything like that. I think we can just see it just says backwoodscigars.com right there, and it just says for questions and comments, call 1-877-CGR-SMKR, which is like their helpline. Then under that, we see a little bit of a black ribbon going all the way across right there with some white text on it, and that's just like a descriptor of what this cigar is supposed to be like, I do suppose. It just says, the smooth, rich taste of tobacco wrapped in an all-natural leaf wrapper. It's not really very descriptive, though. Smooth, rich taste of tobacco. I seriously doubt that, in all honesty. I really don't think that's true at all, but who knows, in all honesty. Then below that, we go back to the woody texture right here with the purple, and then we go to white once again, and it just says right there, made in the Dominican Republic, distributed by ITG Brands LLC, Greensboro, North Carolina, 27420, which is the best part about these being made by ITG, I will admit, or distributed by ITG, I do suppose. Then under that, it just says sale only allowed in the United States, and then under that, we just have the barcode right there. We can see there's some numbers to the side right there, and those numbers just read AFLI 45649-00. I don't know what those numbers mean, but if you guys know what they mean, let me know in the comments down below. And that's pretty much all there is to the back of the packaging. Pretty much just informational stuff kind of thing, while keeping a similar look to the front of the packaging. But this is definitely not meant to be shown as the front of the packaging, that is for sure. This is very informational, very markety, sort of sales-oriented sort of back of the packaging, and I really can't hate on that one bit, that is for sure. Not a bad back of the packaging. Well, without further ado, though, let's go ahead and get this pack of Backwoods all opened up. And let's go ahead and actually take a look at what the Backwoods Smooth Cigar actually looks like, what it feels like, what the quality is like, what the smell of it is like, everything like that kind of thing. I just put the little bits I just ripped off right there in my backpack. Can't be littered or nothing like that. And now, first off, let's go and just take a sniff of what this cigar is actually like. And right off the bat, I'm getting not quite the smell that I was expecting. I am getting, I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. I am getting very much a smell of gummy bears, frankly put. A very smooth, velvety smell of sort of like gummy candy. Almost like gummy bear. I definitely have to say that's very much the smell I'm getting from it right off the bat. Very, very, very sweet smell as well. And other than that, I may be getting a little bit of a sort of creamy sort of smell. And maybe a little bit of grape as well, kind of thing. Yeah, maybe a little bit of grape. Maybe a little bit of grape. Not too much going on. Not too much going on. Well, let's go ahead and get this all out, though. And let's go ahead and take a look at what the cigar actually looks like, what it feels like, and what the quality of it is like. I'm going to go and put that packaging under my water bottle I have right here, just so it doesn't fly away. And let's just go ahead and take a look at what this cigar looks like. Humidification-wise, it seems to be just about fine. It is, if I had to guess, a little bit dry, but it's perfectly fine, you know what I'm saying? It's not dry enough to crack under my fingers by any means, which is a very good thing if I do say so myself. I can also tell right off the bat, just by feeling this is extremely, extremely, extremely tightly packed, so I'm definitely thinking that the airflow is going to be quite constricted, if I do say so myself. But quality-wise, it's pretty good kind of thing. It's not bad by any means. I'm not seeing any piece of the leaf try to rip up or anything like that kind of thing. It's all sealed pretty well. We can just see a bunch of the tobacco coming out right there, and really no tobacco poking out right here, so certainly no complaints on my behalf. Yeah, quality-wise seems to be pretty good. The blend of the tobacco as a whole seems to be I'd have to say, a medium blended tobacco. There are some darker aspects and some lighter aspects, but nothing is really too dark or too light. Seems to be very much a medium blended tobacco as a whole, and the wrapper as a whole is definitely a darker Maduro wrapper, that is for sure. And yeah, really not too much else to say about the quality or the look or the blend or anything like that kind of thing. There's really no discerning traits about this Backwoods that make it look different than other Backwoods by any means kind of thing. Smelling it now that it's out of the packaging though, I'd have to say I am very much getting a sort of gummy, sweet cream, really no tobacco taste in there or tobacco smell in there at all. But yeah, no, I'm very much getting a sort of, I'd have to say, gummy, sweet cream, sort of almost candy-like taste kind of thing or taste, smell. I'm not tasting this yet, it's all smell. But yeah, gummy, sweet cream is very much the smell I'm getting from this cigar. Is the tip of the cigar sweetened? I have noticed some Backwoods as of late having sweetened cigars. So is the tip of this one sweetened? I want to say it is. Yeah, it is. It's very light, but it is indeed sweetened. The tip of this cigar right here is most certainly sweetened, not as heavily as some other Backwoods cigars I've tried previously, but definitely sweetened nonetheless. And the taste that the sweetened tip has is very much that of a sort of almost buttery, sweet cream, very sugary candy taste kind of thing. Tastes honestly fantastic as a whole. If the sweetness of this cigar that's on the tip right here was a candy, I would eat it in all honesty. It honestly tastes absolutely fantastic. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. And while the tip of the cigar does taste pretty good, I'm not so sure about the actual taste of the cigar itself while I'm smoking it. But I do suppose there is only one way to find out. Before I go ahead and get the cigar all lit up though, I do first off want to go ahead and take a sip of water just to make sure I've got a little bit of a palate refresher and to make sure that my throat's feeling all good and everything like that before I get the cigar all lit up. And now that I've done that, without further ado, let's go and get my lighter out of my pocket. And now, let's go ahead and get this Backwoods cigar right here all lit up and go ahead and find out just how good or just how bad the new Backwoods Smooth Cigar actually is. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying? I think that should do to get it all lit up and everything like that kind of thing. And the taste I'm getting right off the bat is very much, and wow, when I got that lit up as well, the sweetness from the tip, the sweetened tip, got so much more intense, I ain't gonna lie. Oh my goodness, wow. Must have just been my lips just sitting on it just for a fat minute kind of thing. But the taste I'm getting from the cigar right off the bat, if I'm not counting the taste from the sweetened tip, the taste from the cigar I'm getting right off the bat is very much a sort of, I'd have to say, sweet, buttery, creamy taste. I'm not really getting any sort of watered down taste in there, I will admit. Nor am I getting any actual real tobacco taste either. Excuse me. But yeah, no. Sort of a very nice, mild. It's not super rich by any means. It's not super bold by any means. It's not a super bold flavor. But it is in there. And the taste I'm getting as a whole, right off the bat, without counting the sweetened tip, is very much a sort of very nice, almost candy-like, sweetened, creamy, buttery taste. That's very much the taste I'm getting right off the bat. And I'm not really noticing really anything else going on in there. Maybe a slight little bit of a nutty taste as well. I don't know, I feel like it's just kind of coming off. I don't feel like there's really actually a nutty taste in there. I feel like it's just the buttery taste making me think it kind of tastes like nut butter or something like that kind of thing, like almond butter. Or like cashew butter or something like that kind of thing. Maybe there is a slight little bit of a nutty taste in there. I'll have to let you guys know a little bit later on in the video, but let's go ahead and test the body real quick. Body is not particularly big for a cigar, that is for sure, and that is due to the airflow. Being quite get my words all jumped up. That is due to the airflow being quite constricted, meaning that you have a very heavy draw, meaning that you really don't get all that much smoke when you're testing the body or just when you're trying to inhale in general. However, one benefit of the small body and of the heavy airflow, of the heavy draw, is the fact that this cigar is quite smooth as a whole. And the flavor of the cigar definitely does help quite a bit with the smoothness as well. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Roughness and smoothness-wise, this is definitely quite smooth, even when compared to cigarettes. Not even when compared to cigars. This is definitely a much smoother cigar than not, that is for sure. And when compared to other cigars and even other backwoods, I would have to say that this is very much like a 4 out of 10 kind of thing. It's pretty dang smooth, if I do say so myself, and the flavor certainly does exemplify that smoothness. Now, strength-wise, this cigar definitely a little bit stronger than not. I am feeling a little bit of a buzz right now, not a super big buzz by any means. I can definitely tell this is not like the strongest thing in the world, but I'm definitely feeling a little bit buzzed nonetheless, so certainly no complaints on my behalf, that is for sure. Definitely strength-wise, very much in my personal opinion, I'd have to say. Strength-wise, more of, it's canoeing, so I'm just trying to fix that canoe real quick. There we go. Hopefully that fixed the canoe, but I'd have to say, as far as cigars go, this is very much like a 7 out of 10 kind of thing, and it's pretty much right in line with how strong other backwoods cigars are. It's not really any stronger nor any lighter than other backwoods cigars. But how do I think this cigar right here would roll up? Do I think it would be good to roll other stuff with? Now, do take what I say with a grain of salt. I don't smoke that other stuff. I only smoke tobacco, but I do realize that some of y'all who are watching this video might be curious to find out how good I think this might be to roll other stuff up with. And as a whole, I don't think it would be bad, but I don't think it would be the greatest either. The taste of the cigar as a whole does not come across as super watered down, which is really nice, and it's really one of the only backwoodses in the new line to not come across as super watered down. But the taste as a whole is still much more mild than not. And so if you're looking for a cigar to cover up the taste of whatever you're rolling inside of it, I don't think this is the best choice. I don't think this is the best choice. But if you just want a little bit of an added taste to go along with what you have, along with a little bit of a nicotine buzz to go along with whatever you have as well kind of thing, I do not think that this is a bad choice at all. It's not a bad tasting cigar by any means. Just like the vast majority of other backwoods, it's pretty decent kind of thing, and it's a pretty decent smoke, and the quality is pretty good as a whole kind of thing. Now, one thing I do want to say before I really say whether this is actually a good cigar to roll up with or not, in my personal opinion, as a person that does not roll other stuff up in backwoods cigars or any cigars in general, is that if you are somebody to unravel a backwoods and then wash it and then roll it with it after you dry it out a little bit kind of thing, this cigar might not be the best to do that with, just simply because there's a sweetened tip. If you're to roll with this cigar, I would recommend not washing it in the sink or anything like that kind of thing. I would recommend instead just unrolling it and then re-rolling it as it is and making sure you have the sweetened tip on the mouthpiece side That is one thing I do want to acknowledge real quick. But as a whole, I don't feel like this cigar is a particularly bad choice to roll with, but I don't feel like it's the best Backwoods to roll with either if you want a cigar to cover up the taste of whatever you're smoking inside of it and everything like that kind of thing. But if you just want an added taste, this is by no means a bad choice in my personal opinion. And man, oh man, I'm just watching my camera right now. Like whenever I blow smoke out, like the sky doesn't become so washed out and you guys can actually see what the sky's like and everything like that kind of thing. Man, oh man, it would be nice if my camera like didn't wash out the sky and everything like that kind of thing, but it's still better than every other camera I've ever used when it comes to lighting and everything like that kind of thing, so I certainly cannot complain. I'm gonna go and grab myself a little bit of a screenshot real quick. I do think I want to pop my sunglasses on as I had them on at the very beginning of this video, and I think I'm gonna go and grab myself a little bit of a screenshot real quick, you know what I'm saying? Phew. Hopefully one of those frames will do as a screenshot. We will find out. And worst case scenario, I'll just have to use one of them anyway because I don't have two of these to grab an extra screenshot with after this video. So we're just going to have to stick with one of those screenshots, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully one of those will do. Now, I will admit, when you're smoking this cigar, the sweetened tip does have a significant effect on the taste. The taste by itself as previously described, is very much a very nice, mildly sweet, sort of creamy, buttery taste kind of thing. Almost like butter candy, I definitely have to say, which is very, very, very nice. Almost like a buttermint without the mint, frankly put. Really nice taste as a whole. There's a little bit of a nut taste in there as well, which is really nice. Almost like, I'd have to say, almond butter or cashew butter or something like that kind of thing. Really nice, if I do say so myself. But the sweetened tip really does make the taste just so much more exemplified, and the sweetened tip really does exemplify the sweetness of the taste just so much as a whole kind of thing. And this cigar, frankly put, would not be nearly as good if it did not have a sweetened tip. I totally see why they added a sweetened tip to this cigar just to exemplify the taste just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It is getting me a little bit buzzed, I will admit, though. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I certainly cannot complain. No, this is a good cigar. I'd have to say, I think, and this is the last of the new lineup that I have gotten my hands on so far. There's one other new Backwoods cigar in the lineup. I think it's the Backwoods Aromatic. Only available in California and Massachusetts at the moment, if I remember correctly, as those are the two flavor ban states in the United States as of the time of the recording of this video. But I'd have to say, as a whole, I think this is probably my favorite Backwoods of the new line that I've tried so far, of the new flavor ban compliant line. There's one other to try. I haven't tried it yet. But out of the 4 I've tried so far, because I've tried 4 out of the 5 of the new line, I'd have to say this is probably my favorite so far, because the taste, while it is a little bit watered down, and while you can tell it does come across as a little bit watered down, it doesn't, unless you're really looking for that kind of thing, it doesn't come across that way at all. Yeah. And while this cigar is definitely not flavored like a normal backwoods cigar, and while it definitely does not come across like it's flavored like a normal backwoods cigar, the taste is still fantastic. It doesn't noticeably have a sort of watered down taste to it kind of thing. It's really, really, really good as a whole. And I'd have to say, yeah, out of the new line so far, this one's probably my favorite. I really like the taste as a whole. I really like the sort of smooth, sweet, buttery, sort of almost velvety, sort of like cashew almond butter sort of taste kind of thing, with a bunch of sweetness added from the sweetened tip. I really do like the taste of this cigar as a whole, especially since it doesn't really come across as super watered down. I don't know if this one would be the best to roll with out of the new cigars that were introduced and everything like that kind of thing. And if I had to guess, it's probably not. But smoking it raw like I am today, I'd have to say this is probably the one that is the most of my preference and is probably my favorite out of the new Backwoods lineup. But when compared to other Backwoods, this one is still definitely not one of my favorites. Although I will admit, I do think this one's in my top 10. My favorite Backwoods, for context, is the Backwoods Small Batch, and then after that is the Backwoods Russian Cream and Backwoods Honey Berry. And then after that, probably like the Honey Bourbon and the Black Russian and stuff like that kind of thing. This one's probably like number 6 or 7, if not 8, or something like that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's a nice taste. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all, in all honesty, and it is definitely a little bit strong. I'm feeling a little bit of a nice nicotine buzz right now, that is for sure. Definitely a 7 out of 10, that is for sure. Definitely a 7 out of 10 on the strength scale. Whew, certainly no complaints on my behalf. Definitely feeling a little bit buzzed right now. Now, one thing I do want to acknowledge is that, of course, as you continue smoking the cigar, the sweetened tip does go away a little bit. It's still very much in there. I've been puffing away on the cigar for, I want to say, over 15 minutes now. And the sweetened tip is still there, which is pretty good if I do say so myself, as that's honestly a little bit surprising. Sweetened tips tend to go away faster than not, but apparently not this one. But it has degraded a little bit. It's definitely not as intense of a taste as it once was, but it is still there nonetheless. Well, not bad at all if I do say so myself, not bad at all. Might be time for me to go ahead and cover my final thoughts in just a minute. Might be time for me to go ahead and start doing that momentarily. Well, I think that's pretty much all I had to say about the cigar. I think I'm going to go and give you guys my final thoughts now. Just summarize what I had to say during the smoking experience and everything like that kind of thing, just real quick. And just kind of summarize my thoughts on the packaging as well. So what are my final thoughts on the Backwoods Smooth Cigar? What are my final thoughts on this cigar right here? Well, I think that the packaging is a pretty decent look kind of thing. I definitely do think it's pretty good packaging, although it's not as good as other Backwoods packaging. I do still think it looks pretty good nonetheless, so I certainly cannot complain, that is for sure. Definitely above average when compared to other cigarello brands and everything like that kind of thing, but it's about average when compared to other Backwoods, in my personal opinion. And the packaging quality as a whole is not bad by any means. It's pretty basic quality for a Backwoods or a cigarello wrap or something like that kind of thing. It's not bad quality by any means. The cigar itself very much smells like, I'd have to say, almost gummy, almost gummy, sort of creamy candy, a very sweet, gummy, creamy, almost buttery candy. I definitely have to say it's very much what it smells like, and that is almost what it tastes like as well, in my personal opinion. The taste, to fully summarize, is very much that of a... My nose is running. The taste, to summarize, is very much that of a very nice, sweet, creamy, buttery sort of taste. And then as you continue smoking, you get a little bit of a sort of nutty almond or sort of like cashew butter taste in there as well. All still very sweet and candy-like, I definitely have to say. And of course, this cigar as well has a sweetened tip to it, which just exemplifies the taste quite a bit, if I do say so myself. And that's very much what the taste is like. The airflow very much has been, all throughout this cigar, very constricted, very tight, if I do say so myself, which makes sense, as this is a very tightly rolled cigar. Very tight airflow as a whole, and due to that tight airflow, I get a very tight draw, a very heavy draw as well. But due to that heavy draw and due to that tight airflow, this cigar is very smooth. I'd have to say it's actually smoother than some other Backwoods out there. And when compared, what was I about to say? Yeah, definitely smoother than some other Backwoods out there, in my personal opinion. And the taste exemplifies that a little bit as well. I don't know where I was going with when compared. I don't know where I was going with that. But the taste definitely exemplifies the smoothness quite a bit as well, kind of thing. And I'd have to say as well that the strength of this cigar is definitely heavier than that kind of thing. It's like a 7 out of 10 kind of thing, which is like not super heavy when it comes to cigars, but definitely heavier than not, and definitely heavier than a cigarette, that is for sure. So certainly no complaints on my behalf. And yeah, I think those are pretty much my, that's pretty much my summary on, this cigar right here. So what do I think about the cigar? Would I buy it with my own money? And it's just gone out. Oh well, it is what it is kind of thing. I'm not too worried about it. But would I buy a Backwoods Smooth Cigar with my own money? I'd have to say I would. However, I would not buy a Backwoods Smooth Cigar with my own money if I've got other options. If a flavor ban does take place federally in the United States and the Backwoods Smooth Cigar is still offered, I will be buying them whenever I want a Backwoods. However, if I have other options, I will not be buying the Backwoods Smooth Cigar. But as a whole, it does actually taste pretty unique to other Backwoods. I don't think I've ever tasted a Backwoods that quite tastes like this one. And I really cannot complain about that, that is for sure. Yeah, pretty unique tasting Backwoods as a whole, in my personal opinion. And pretty decent as a whole. Although it's not something I would buy if I had alternate options. I would definitely much rather buy the Backwoods Small Batch or a Backwoods Russian Cream or Honeyberry or something like that kind of thing. But the Backwoods Smooth Cigar is by no means a bad Backwoods, and it's still pretty good. And I'd have to say it is, out of the entire new line of flavor ban compliant Backwoods, my favorite. I'd have to say it's my favorite. Yeah, 100%. So what is the rating I'm thinking for the Backwoods Smooth Cigar? Well, I'm thinking it's deserving of a solid 6.5 out of 10. Definitely above average. Definitely, actually, you know what? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to bump it up by half a point. Definitely 7 out of 10 in my personal opinion. Yeah, 7 out of 10. I can't complain. Definitely above average in my personal opinion when it comes to the flavor band Backwoods, but definitely just about average when it is compared to other Backwoods, but it does have a pretty unique taste to it that I haven't ever tasted from other Backwoods before, and so as such, I cannot complain. Yeah, I don't feel like I've ever had a sort of like nutty, buttery taste from a Backwoods before. Definitely not bad by any means. Yeah, I'd have to say, I think a 7 out of 10 is definitely deserving of the Backwoods Smooth Cigar. And as said, I'd buy one with my own money, but not if I had other options. Yeah. Well, I think that's all I had to say. 7 out of 10 for the Backwoods Smooth Cigar, as said. Thank you so much once again to Kirk for being nice enough to give me the Backwoods Smooth Cigar. They are not available in my area yet, and so as such, this video would literally not be possible without your contribution to the channel, my man. Thank you so much once again to Kirk for being nice enough to give me the Backwoods Smooth Cigar, along with some of the other flavor ban compliant Backwoods cigars that are not available in my area yet. I'm very, very, very thankful for your contribution to the channel, my man. Thank you so much once again to Kirk. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video, though. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video, of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and everything like that, all in the description down below. As said, like and subscribe and check out everything. I've got my book. It's $12 on Amazon. I've got my merch. T-shirts are $19.99. Of course, it's a very good deal, you know what I'm saying? But to the next one, y'all. Stay safe. Well, my t-shirts are $19.99 on Amazon. Yeah, I said that correctly, yeah. But you know, I think that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for watching my review of the Backwoods Smooth Cigar. To the next one, y'all. Stay safe and peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?